Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of Talk Wrestling here on the NoDQ.com YouTube channel. No, it's not just Jeff Meacham. To my side here is the incomparable, if you will, Aaron Riff, the owner, webmaster, CEO, and all-around genius of NoDQ.com.
Oh, wow.
There's a big intro for you, right? The reason I gave you a big intro, Aaron, is because it's the very last broadcast on this channel for 2016. So I figured, you know what? Let's bring the boss man on. Let's get the Q&A done. Let's talk about what really is going on in the world of wrestling, and that's the NoDQ.com year-end awards.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the final NoDQ.com video of 2016, so why not go out with a bang, right?
But let me first address the elephant in the room. And that's the lady that's on my shirt.
Yeah.
Because the speculation is abound now that after such a resounding loss last night in Las Vegas, Paradise, whatever you want to call it, to Nevada.
Paradise for some, hell to others.
It depends how much money you're willing to lose, baby. And how much you're willing to risk. And Ronda risked everything last night and came up just a little bit short, about 48 seconds short, actually.
CM Punk lasted longer.
And you know what? I'm sure Stephanie will point that out to him on the next time that he and Stephanie talk. But let me just congratulate Ronda Rousey on having the guts to come back after such a resounding defeat and being smart enough to not go in front of a camera after the fight last night. And just going to the locker room, getting cleaned up, and getting the hell out of Vegas. Because if she went in front of a camera, it would have been another situation that she didn't need. So wherever she ends up, she is the reason that I watch UFC. Not Brock Lesnar, not CM Punk, not any of the guys came before him. Yes, I kind of dabbled in UFC here and there with Shamrock and Severn and Tank and those guys, but I kind of got into UFC because Brock crossed over. I'm a UFC fan because of Ronda Rousey. And I owe her a big thing for that because there is world outside of Vince McMahon's little bubble. And I have Ronda Rousey to thank for viewing that outside of that bubble. So wherever she ends up, if it's inside Vince's bubble at WrestleMania, more power to her. Let's get her a big payday against Charlotte or something. But you know what? For right now, she's the best to ever step in the octagon, and nothing can be said differently, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, she had an awesome run. It's unfortunate it had to end the way it did. I mean, I was not expecting her to win that fight, but I was hoping she would have been able to have a better showing in there, at least for her own mental sake. I mean, that's the big concern. She's done the interviews where she said she felt suicidal after that first loss, and I'm just concerned about her overall mental well-being moving forward. But if she can recover from this, I could definitely see her going to WWE and having a successful career there. I mean, she's a huge wrestling fan. She's gone to the PWG shows. She is very much into the product. So I think if she can get over everything that's happened and take a little bit of time off, I'm not sure if we'll see her this year. She might take a year off. Who knows? But
think about it this way. The four horsewomen of the octagon, or the cage, if you will, are now in their twilight of their careers because three of them were retired. One of whom didn't even step inside the octagon in the first place. They were in other cages in the octagon area. Two of them got retired at a UFC, and now Ronda's lost her second fight. So there's four horsewomen from UFC. There are currently four horsewomen that came up from NXT that are doing very, very well for themselves on Raw and SmackDown. I would love to see some interaction between those 8 girls before 2017 is over.
That would be interesting. That's definitely a possibility. And I've talked about this. People have asked me about Ronda coming to WWE. Ronda versus Charlotte, one-on-one at WrestleMania. That would be huge. And if built up properly, that could potentially be the main event of WrestleMania. You know, people ask me, will a women's match ever main event WrestleMania? And I think if there was ever a chance of that to happen, it would be Ronda Rousey versus somebody like Charlotte.
Can you imagine the promos? Just think about this for a second, and I'm going to blow your mind here. Think about if Ric Flair were to return and forgive Charlotte for beating him up and whatever, and turn heel again, and looking at Ronda's face and go, you know that mentor of yours, the other Rowdy? Yeah, he never beat a Flair, and neither will you. Woo! Woo!
Yeah, if they get Ric Flair involved, I mean, that's money right there. Ronda Rousey, Ric Flair. Imagine the headlines. That would get ESPN coverage. I mean, that would be huge.
Dude, Coach would be having a spaz in his pants over that on SportsCenter. You kidding me? Oh my God, that'd be headlines around the world.
Yeah, and last thing I wanted to add, you talked about how Ronda made you a fan. I mean, I've talked to people up here in Portland, people that I've been in contact with, and they've told me that they were never a fan of UFC, but Ronda got them interested in checking out UFC. So there's no doubt that she brought in a lot of people into the UFC world. There's no question about that.
I will make a statement. I don't know if this has been said before, and I may be making history here, and if I am, let me know, people out there. I truly believe that Ronda Rousey is to mixed martial arts what Hulk Hogan was to wrestling 30 years ago.
Well, I mean, some might argue. I mean, she's definitely a factor in taking it to a whole new level. There's no doubt about that.
I think even the casual combat sports, fighting sports fan has crossed over into watching UFC full time because of the impact of Ronda Rousey. And I think, if you look back 33 years ago, people weren't really watching professional wrestling. It was kind of, oh yeah, I'm a wrestling fan, but not really. And then Hulk Hogan explodes, and all of a sudden, everybody, the celebrities love wrestling. You see more celebrities now at mixed martial arts and wrestling events because of people like Hulk Hogan and Ronda Rousey. Whereas, in UFC's infancy, if you went to a UFC event, you had to call in sick from work and pretend you weren't there. Okay. It was like, oh crap, I'm on a cage fight. Oh my God. And now it's like, Puff Daddy was there last night and Travis Barker was there last night. Some people were there because it was Ronda Rousey. For me, whether she retires or not it doesn't matter at this point. She is the biggest impact star that sport has ever seen. And if she does cross over to sports entertainment, then Vince has serious bank on his hands, more so than he has in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Have you seen that image of Vince McMahon holding up the money? It's like an animated GIF. It's on Twitter. Like every time something happens, people always post that Vince McMahon GIF of him with the money. And somebody did that for Ronda Rousey last night.
Yeah, that's from the $1 Million Mania that he was doing. But the last angle was the thing fell on him or whatever. At one point, he was in front of the stage and he was like just smelling the money, and that was instant meme gold, man. Like everybody jumped on that shit. It was golden. So yeah, Vince. I was talking to people at Buffalo Wild Wings last night saying, Vince might think she's damaged goods. Like, no. Perception is a lot, but it isn't everything. Whether she won or lost last night, I felt she was going to retire anyway.
Yeah.
If she'd won, she was going to say, you know what? I came back. I did what I said I was going to do. Here's your belt, Dana. I don't need this anymore. However, it didn't go that way, so it will be a little bit longer, but I do feel she will cross over.
Yeah, I feel that as well. I feel it's inevitable. Just hopefully she's able to mentally overcome the impact of the loss.
Well, I think we as fans, and we don't know her. We're just but I think we as fans can take solace in the fact that when she did make that statement on the Ellen DeGeneres show, she had a lot of good people around her that kept her from going to the dark side, if you will. And I think those same people are with her now. I mean, she's got a steady boyfriend she's had for a while now, and they're very happy together. And she's got so much going for her in the world of movies, in the world of commercials, in the world of TV in general. She is one of those entertainment media mogul people that can do pretty much anything that's put in front of her plate.
Right.
So she's got a lot going for her. She's a hell of a looker. She's the best looking fighter in the game, So I think for me, I think it's a matter of her realizing that, yeah, she lost, but she's going out a champion.
Exactly. And everyone thinks very highly of her. And, I think she'll do great things if she comes to WWE. So we'll see what happens.
I think the fact that Stephanie McMahon allowed her to put her hands on her in her first outing speaks volumes for how much WWE thinks of Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a huge moment at WrestleMania. I was there for that.
I know you were.
People were going nuts for that segment.
Well, I often watch that back, and I try to pinpoint how long in advance when Rock leaves the ring that people realizing, oh shit, he's going for Ronda.
Yep.
And he'll feel the crowd just burning. So, oh, there she is, and people go ape shit. So it's great. So she will cross over. It's a matter of when, not if.
Exactly. All right, so what's next on the agenda?
Next on the agenda is you, sir, because you, as you have done for the past 16, 17 years, whatever, I forget the number exactly, but the most prestigious awards in sports entertainment.
17th annual.
This is bigger than PWI. This is bigger than the Slammies. If we were in the movie business, it'd be bigger than the Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
We're not in the movie business, so it's not
for sure. I mean, this is, to quote Arn Anderson, this is bigger than the moon landing.
This is bigger than Elvis, baby, and that's all I got to say about that. So, Aaron, read them off, and I'll give my reactions. Go for it.
All right, well, first of all, the big winner is AJ Styles. He won 5 of the awards this year. Male Superstar of the Year, Finisher of the Year, Breakout Star of the Year, Headline of the Year, and Feud of the Year. So what are your thoughts on AJ dominating this year in the awards?
Who would have thought? Think about it. It's the end of 2016. We had AJ Styles on our shows over 10 years ago. And at that time, he was Mr. TNA. He was the guy for Dixie, for Panda, for Jarrett, for that company. Who would have thought in 2016 that not only would he be dominating WWE, but he would still be a dominant factor in the business, period, and dominating your award shows?
I know, it's crazy to think, and people say AJ has arguably had the best 2016 of anybody in WWE and the best first year of anybody in WWE history. That is definitely a very arguable point.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I was reading our good friend, quote unquote, Dave Meltzer's tweets last night during the fights, because they were talking about year-end awards on their end, and they were arguing. Was it Lesnar's first year in the WWE? Was it Flair's first year in the WWE? Was it Kurt Angle? And in terms of championship wins, there will be nobody that beats Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
He won every major championship there was to win. If it wasn't within 12 months, it was within 18.
And Angle was also totally fresh coming to WWE, a total newcomer, had no previous experience in professional wrestling. Kurt Angle had over a decade in TNA, so there is a difference there.
AJ, you mean? Yeah. AJ has been a professional wrestler mostly in TNA for the last 15 years. Here he is, a fresh beginning, a new start in WWE, debuts at the Rumble. It's a tremendous fanfare. We all knew he was coming. We just didn't know when. And there he was at the Rumble, made a pretty impressive showing. Didn't win the thing like we all hoped, and you know what? We thought, okay, we'll see where it goes. Then he moves on to Chris Jericho and has an unbelievable series with him. And then he just keeps getting better and better and better. And slowly but surely, the mic skills that never really truly developed working in Orlando, all of a sudden, there they were.
Right. And another thing I wanted to add on a slightly related note, WWE.com had a poll asking fans who would you like to see in the main event at WrestleMania, and AJ Styles dominated that poll, and this is more of the casual fans voting, so it's not just the hardcore NoDQ.com internet fans, it's the overall casual audience that loves AJ Styles, and WWE quickly pulled the poll. I guess they were not happy with those results. So,
well, here's what worries me about that. They're pulling the trigger on Styles and Cena for the title now.
Yeah.
Which worries me that Cena's going to win the championship now and be defending against Undertaker, not challenging like we all thought.
Well, no, I think what they were planning was title versus career. Cena puts up the title, Undertaker puts up his career.
Okay, because I originally heard Undertaker was going to be defending the championship against Cena, so that's what I originally heard. So, okay, well, anyway, I hope part of me wants to see title versus career to see Undertaker have one last grand moment at WrestleMania, win or lose. But I really want to see AJ be the champion at WrestleMania. Is that wrong?
I think AJ as champion would be awesome, but the question is, what are they going to do with AJ if he's not in the title match? And maybe they'll put him in there with Finn Balor if Balor's back in time. I mean, they got to do something big with AJ at WrestleMania. They have to.
If they don't cap his first full year off with a big match at WrestleMania the second year in, they're going to really screw him up.
And it might create a backlash again, with like Daniel Bryan. We saw how the fans reacted with that.
Yeah, I mean, and look what happened to Bryan. He languished in mediocrity for a while. Ended up getting so beat up by the time he won the title back. He was a misfit. He was languished.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens
So,
with that.
but yeah, I'm not surprised AJ won any award he won this year. Superstar of the Year is a given for him. I think Breakout Star of the Year. If you think about first year in WWE, the argument was there. We talked about it earlier.
Right.
Match of the Year was against Cena, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Feud of the year, actually.
Feud of the Year was against Cena. Again, no surprise there. That feud had more steam to it, had more meat to it than I think any real feud the rest of the year.
And it's starting up again now with the Royal Rumble.
Exactly. So we may see an early contender for 2017 No DQ Feud of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. And headline of the year, of course, was his debut, which was huge.
Which is so funny to me because some people consider No DQ a wrestling combat sports encompassing thing.
Yeah.
I would think something like anything from UFC could have landed in there too, but here we are. It's almost January of 2017, and the headline from January 2016 wins the award.
Right.
Now, it speaks volumes how big AJ has become.
Now, do you think AJ debuting was bigger than the brand extension coming back? Because both of us said that the brand extension should have been the headline of the year.
I personally don't believe it surpassed the brand extension in terms of noteworthy. However, when you look back at the impact of both over the last 12 months, the brand extension, the only thing it's really done
It's made SmackDown a better show.
Holy shit, was that a good show Tuesday?
Yeah.
But I think AJ's performance from January to December was more impactful than the separation of the company.
Right. So that one I think you can argue about. And then finisher of the year, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know you were giving me your thoughts on the Styles Clash.
I was. Did he actually win a match with the Styles Clash this year?
I'm not sure. That is a very good point. I think he's won more matches with the Phenomenal Forearm, quite frankly.
I think he's won more matches with the Rocky Roll-Up guy stuff than he has with the Styles Clash. I don't think he's won a televised, I don't know about house shows, but a televised match with the Styles Clash. So I don't see where that falls into finisher of the year. Finisher of the year means you end the match with that finisher.
Yeah, but to be fair, not too many moves finish things these days. I mean, maybe I'll have to change it to the signature move of the year instead of finisher of the year.
You know what? I think we should let the people decide that for you.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Leave a comment. All right, so let's move on here away from AJ Styles. Let's talk about the guy who won a couple of awards, but not exactly the awards you want to win.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns picking up 3 awards. Number 1, most overutilized of the year. Number 2, worst match of the year. And number 3, this is a big one, worst wrestler of the year. So the question is, does Roman Reigns deserve to be called the worst wrestler of the year? Is he a bad wrestler? I mean, in a technical sense, I would say absolutely not. Now, is he able to perform and do the job he's supposed to do playing the character? His character is supposed to be the top babyface that gets cheered. He goes out there and he gets booed. Is that the company's fault or is that his fault? There's a lot of different arguments about it, so I'll go ahead and get your thoughts on this, Jeff.
Well, I'm glad you kind of lobbed that up for me so I can kind of out of the park. That was a perfect setup. Thank you. Mm-hmm. It is not Roman's fault.
Just like it wasn't Snitsky's fault.
No, Snitsky's fault was Snitsky because he was batshit crazy. Roman is doing what he is told to do. Much like John Cena was a few years ago, because I talked with John Cena about this a couple of times. He is told to go out there and shake hands and kiss babies. And now, to a lesser extent, the last year, he's not been a bad guy, not a big guy, he's been the guy. So he hasn't been as pandering, but he's still been the guy who hulks up, wins the match with a Superman punch and a spear, and sends the crowd home happy. He's sending the women and children home happy, like Hogan did, like Cena has done, like Bruno did, whatever. The difference is, it's not 1963. It's not 1985. It's not even 2006 or 2005 where Cena was still getting cheered. The people don't want to cheer for a guy who is so clean cut. They are cheering for the guy that is a little rough around the edges, like AJ Styles, like Dean Ambrose, like Seth Rollins, like Hunter when he comes back. They're going to cheer him when he comes. I don't care if he is facing Seth Rollins. He's going to get cheers when he comes back. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're cheering for Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho now, and Jericho's calling 20,000 people stupid idiots. More so than I think ever, even during the NWO/Attitude Era, people want to cheer the bad guy again. So I don't think it's Roman's fault at all, because Roman is being told what to do, and he is doing the job that he is being told to do.
But the question is, could other people in his role do a better job? That's the question.
I don't think so in this day and age, because there is no clear-cut fan of a white meat babyface anymore. Yes, the kids love Roman and Cena and whoever. The Make-A-Wish guys adore those guys.
Well, what was Daniel Bryan in 2014?
Daniel Bryan, honest to God, was a complete fluke. And I will get heat for that, and I will get hate mail for that. But Bryan's uprising in 2013 and 14 completely took me by surprise, because I didn't think the WWE fans would get behind the indie darling that was Bryan Danielson. They got behind Punk, and then he left.
And what about somebody like Cesaro? If Cesaro was put in Roman Reigns' spot where he kicks out of all the big moves and makes all the big comebacks and wins all the time and is the face of the company, do you think fans would have turned on Cesaro if he was in Roman Reigns' role with that kind of push?
Yeah, they would have. And
I really think so.
I really think so, because you know what? Honestly, sometimes they don't want to see the people kick out of everything. Sometimes they want the guy to lose. Sometimes they want the guy to show vulnerability. I want to see that. I don't want to see Roman Reigns kick out of 20s pedigrees. I want to see Roman take a pedigree and look at the lights and come back to fight another day. I want to see Cesaro, not right now because he's doing a great thing with Sheamus, but if Cesaro was number one guy, I want him to start at the top like he's been, get knocked down a couple. I want people to be like Ronda Rousey is today. She was the champion of the world, got knocked down a peg, took some time to recuperate, came back saying, I'm going to kick your ass this time, still didn't get the job done, and go, okay, that's fine. I can take another loss. I'll be back next time, even better than ever.
Now, some people have argued about the idea that Roman Reigns is not a bad wrestler. He's just miscast. Is that something you would agree with?
Yes. Oh, right on the nose. Very good.
I mean, even a great actor like Bryan Cranston, if he's given the wrong role, it's going to be tough to make it work. I mean, some people can make it work with any kind of role they're in.
I will disagree with Bryan Cranston, because look how much he transformed from Malcolm in the Middle to his breakout role.
Yeah, so there are guys that can really play any role. I mean, Roman Reigns, I think he's a very solid performer, but he's not at Cena's level in terms of having the charisma and having the presence to be able to work in any kind of role. Somebody like The Rock could do it. The Rock could be a heel 1 minute and just flip a switch and be the biggest heel.
And you know what's funny? We've talked for over 10 years about John Cena turning heel. I noticed on Tuesday night on SmackDown, but more so on Talking Smack, because you brought this up on Talking Smack. He was a little cocky, a little full of his own self, and telling AJ he were, big leaguing AJ. AJ called him on it, and you pointed out that you loved it. I'm like, you know what? Where was this John Cena? And I really stopped. I said, you know what? That John Cena wasn't there fighting Edge. That John Cena wasn't there fighting Batista and all those guys. John Cena needed somebody that could be cheered so vociferously against him that he would have to be a little poop head like to go against him. I'm trying not to curse on your channel. I'm trying not to get in trouble.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I said yes for like 3 times. I'm sorry. But yeah, he had to be a little bit derogatory toward the champion to get his point across. And I think that if it is something similar with Roman where, he was pushed so far that he had to kind of tweak a little bit and go, no, you know what? Screw you back.
Yeah.
The people might not crap on him as much.
Right. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about some of these other categories. We have the Tag Team of the Year. The Revival wins out, and the Broken Hardys came in second. So TNA actually performing fairly well in this year's year-end awards, mainly due to the Hardys. What are your thoughts on the Revival winning Tag Team of the Year?
I am overjoyed that the top guys getting the top award. I love it. I love how Corey Graves talks about that. I'm going to keep calling them the top guys from now on. That's what they are. They are the best tag team I have seen on a WWE TV show in a long time. I mean, better than the New Day when they were still cooking with gas. Better than recent tag teams. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But I said New Day.
Oh, never mind.
But I think they're a better pure tag team than were the New Day.
And better than American Alpha?
Yes, but the fact that they beat Alpha for the championships back speaks volumes. But you know what? Alpha, the tag team champions on SmackDown now.
Well, they had a slow start. They had a slow start when they got on the main roster. Just now, they're starting to really come into their own on the main roster.
Well, the problem is they were lost in the SmackDown Shuffle, which should not happen in the brand extension era, but it's happening with people. Yeah. But they are the tag team champions, and there's very little riff in the Wyatt family, so we'll see where the division goes on SmackDown. But the Revival, they've now lost the titles twice to two quality tag teams, and like you said, for the better part of the last 6 months, it's a matter of if. It's a matter of when, not if.
Right, so it's just a matter of time before they end up on the main roster and going for one of the titles. Maybe they'll rekindle that feud with American Alpha on SmackDown.
You know what? I would pay good money to go see a SmackDown show with those two guys in a tag team match.
Yeah, so at first I thought it would be better for them to go on Raw and beat the New Day, but since that did not happen, the New Day lost to Sheamus and Cesaro. I think Revival should just go on SmackDown now and feud with their old rivals.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you feel the SmackDown tag roster is more stacked now because maybe Raw needs them?
That's a good point. I mean, I think Sheamus and Cesaro are doing well, and you have Anderson and Gallows that can challenge them. So there are some heel teams that are already in line. You know, I don't want to see Anderson and Gallows get lost even more in the shuffle. I think they should be built up as the top heel team on Raw. So I think that leaves room for Revival to be the top heel team on SmackDown. And I sense that Orton and Bray Wyatt are going to be splitting up at some point and continuing their feud. So you're going to need a top heel tag team on SmackDown. I don't think the other teams like the Vaudevillains are going to cut it, you know.
Well, considering Simon got to the doghouse for God knows how long, that's not going to happen. So, I'd love to see the Revival join the Blue Brand and, you know, really be a dominant heel tag team, maybe even upend American Alpha once again.
Yeah, that very well could happen. Next up, we have the Announcer of the Year, which was Mauro Ranallo winning. I totally agree with that. Your thoughts?
You know what, Mauro? It's so funny you mention it because I'm wearing my UFC, the only UFC shirt I actually own, and Mike Goldberg retired last night.
Yeah, that was his last show.
I would have loved to seen him do at least a few WWE shows, but I guess he's going to do.
They tried to bring him in 2005, and he turned it down. I guess WWE wanted to have his name changed because they didn't want another Goldberg there.
Because you can't have two guys with the same name, God forbid. Oh dear, stupid WWE crap. But yeah, he's been a great UFC announcer. But you know what, Mauro is just as good on the wrestling and boxing side as Mike Goldberg was on the MMA side.
Yeah. Match of the year. So this one, you know, it's debatable, but the winner of this was Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. And I thought it was an excellent match. Yeah, it beat out John Cena versus AJ Styles, which came in second. What surprises me is WWE.com did their own top 25 matches of the year, and Cena versus AJ was like number 5 or number 6, which I'm a little bit surprised about. You would think that they would boost up the Golden Boy right at the top, but they put that match at like number 5 or 6. But Cena and AJ actually came in second. Revival and DIY came in third. And I think you picked the tag match. So what
I did. You know, I'm glad you brought this up. What was WWE's top pick out of curiosity? Do you remember?
I believe it was the tag match.
See, for once, McMahon and I are on the same page.
Or whoever's running WWE.com. I don't think it's Vince.
I think it's Michael Cole, which is very frightening. I'm going to retract my statement now. Looking back now at all three of those matches, having perspective now since we did the year-end filming, I think the No DQ fans got it right because Nakamura and Zayn, even early in the year as it was, really set the pace and made the other matches for the year go, okay, you know, it was a Shawn Michaels thing. Follow that.
Yeah, exactly.
And DIY and Revival was the best tag team match I've ever seen. I will say that until somebody else beats it. And yes, Cena and AJ was good, but it wasn't Nakamura Zayn good.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I mean, I just think Nakamura and Zayn needed more of a storyline, but I mean, the fact that it ranked so high without a storyline, I mean, that just goes to show, how great that match was, that those guys were able to leave a lasting impression on people.
Sometimes wrestling fans want to see a wrestling match.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's just very simple. You keep it simple. That's all you got to do.
And say, Kiss, keep it simple, stupid.
Yep. And speaking of that Dallas show, NXT TakeOver Dallas won the pay-per-view of the year. So I think that is well deserved. I mean, that pay-per-view was pretty much flawless. I mean, there's nothing really critical I could say,
I wonder in the back of my bald head here whether it was that good or if the show the next night was just that abysmal.
Yeah, we'll just go on that topic while we're on it.
Okay.
WrestleMania 32. Most years, WrestleMania won the pay-per-view of the year poll on NoDQ.com. But this year, WrestleMania 32 won the worst pay-per-view of the year poll.
Wow. And you know what? Not that Vince McMahon gives a crap about NoDQ.com.
Oh, yeah.
We know that they watch our stuff because it's been proven. But what does it say to Vince McMahon up there in his ivory tower when a hardcore wrestling fans website votes his son-in-law's promotions pay-per-view as the best of the year, and his little nurtured little baby that he's coddled for so many years is completely crapped upon?
Yeah, exactly. Now going back, Roman Reigns versus Triple H was voted the worst match of the year. I think you and I talked about this. I think I voted for that just because I think that it did not deliver what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be the main event and this huge moment for Roman Reigns, and it just did not work. The people totally rejected the match, and they tried to do a scientific wrestling match at the end of a 7-hour show, which was not the way to go. So they didn't get it right with that match, definitely.
No, I mean, as tired as we were up in San Jacinto, think about how tired the people were in Arlington.
Yeah.
Sitting out there in the Dallas heat for most of that day, into the night, where it was, I think Texas is 2 or 3 hours ahead of us, so it was, damn near midnight by the time it got to the end of the fight, and it was just executed so poorly. And the execution of the feud in general, people were on their feet in droves when Hunter won the Rumble. And they went forward with the plan and said, you know what, let's just do it, let's just execute. And they just dragged it on for 2 months. And then when they did it and he won the title back, it was just like, oh, goody, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, it should have just been a fight. It should have just been a brawl, like, all over the place. But instead, Triple H wanted to do his big scientific match, his long drawn out 20-minute match, and it just was the wrong timing. Timing was off on this.
If Triple H booked that match, it's the one thing he did wrong this year.
Exactly. Catchphrase of the year. What do you think it was? You only need one guess, I think.
Well, I know Chris Jericho won for sure. Probably the list.
Well, go ahead and say it then.
All right. For those of you that didn't vote for this particular award the right way, you know what happens when you don't vote the right way? You know what happens? You just made the list!
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, that was a... Uh-oh.
Whoa, I just leaned back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you just knocked the camera right out with that.
My earbud just made the list.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so here's a little bit of an interesting one. The faction of the year, and this is pretty significant. TNA, after I think maybe a decade, I don't remember the last time. I need to go and look back on it, but this is the first time in a long time TNA has won a category. Faction of the year goes to the Broken Hardys.
Dude, we need to make a plaque, Aaron.
Yeah, I know. So that is delightful.
We need to make a plaque and do what we did in Orlando 12 years ago and give that to the Hardys. Oh my God.
Might as well.
That's probably not going to happen next year.
Who knows? New people in charge of TNA, new direction maybe.
Well, it's funny, there's a question on Talk Wrestling, the actual Talk Wrestling portion of the show that we'll get to in a moment, but about TNA's ownership, but we'll get to that. I love the Hardys won this. You know what? I did not watch a full episode of Impact all year. I'm a bad wrestling fan, so be it. But every time I saw a Hardy clip go up on YouTube, I immediately pushed play.
Exactly. They definitely made an impact in TNA, no pun intended. I'm happy for them. I feel they did deserve to win something this year, so I'm glad the Hardys did get some recognition by winning the Faction of the Year award.
Did Matt win Comeback of the Year?
He came in second.
To?
Goldberg.
Ah.
Yeah, Goldberg won with 31% of the vote. Matt Hardy was second with 25% of the vote.
I wasn't even that close then.
Yeah, close but no cigar.
Well, here's hoping the worst match of the year is not Goldberg Lesnar.
Yeah. Next up, we have the female superstar of the year, and Charlotte won this one very easily with 45% of the vote. So I think that's a no-brainer. This was definitely her year.
You know what? Had it been a less injury-ridden Sasha Banks, it would have been a closer race.
Yeah, I think so. I think if Sasha won at WrestleMania, it would have been a closer race.
Well, you know what? I mean, she got the Snoop Dogg entrance. She got Snoop Dogg singing out to her. We all thought it was going to happen, and it didn't happen. So,
yeah. All right. Well, now next up we have the theme song of the year, and again, you want to go ahead and do it. You know what it is. It's your favorite song.
Oh, it is? Okay. Let's see. I can do it without getting in trouble with the E here.
Well,
glorious.
I think your tone is so off it won't register with the copyright system.
I'm the most tone deaf white dude in the city of Santa Clarita, so I got no problem messing up a song. Trust me. Glorious domination. You know what? I really thought Nakamura's song would win, so I'm glad.
They were close. Nakamura came in second, about 5%.
Wow. Well, it's so funny. I heard both of them live because I don't know the show you were at in Portland, but the NXT show I came in, they fought each other in the main event, which is kind of a teaser for what's going to happen in NXT now, the next TakeOver show. And it was like 2,000 people, if that, in Bakersfield. And I get it's a small place, but every single person in that building was singing Bobby's song, and every single person in the building was humming Nakamura's song. It was going to be one of those two.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, Bobby Roode has such an awesome theme, so I mean, him winning was definitely huge.
Bobby Roode is going to be the guy that brings NXT into the next level, I think, this year. I really think that.
Yeah, I totally agree. The WrestleMania entrance is going to be off the chain, to use his old quote.
Oh my God, TakeOver in Orlando is going to be the most glorious entrance we've seen out of Bobby Roode yet.
Yeah, exactly. Babyface and heel of the year. Sami Zayn won Babyface of the year, and The Miz won heel of the year. So I'm actually happy with both of these results. What do you think?
I'm not really surprised. If you talk about pure baby faces, a guy who did not waver on his stance toward the fans or stance toward his opponents or whatever, Sammy was a baby face through and through, and The Miz is easily my favorite heel in the company right now, period.
When my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut.
And nobody shuts up, and that's the mark of a true heel.
And that's what's so great about The Miz. This was really a good comeback for him as well. Probably his biggest year since 2011. And I think that he is so good at getting people to want to see the babyface kick his ass. And that's what being a great heel is all about, is getting the people so riled up that they want to see their hero come in and just knock this guy's head off. And that's what
I agree.
did. The Miz was great at that. So I think it's a well-deserved win for him.
As do I, sir. What else is left?
We have the worst storyline of the year. The winner was, by a very large margin, Make Darren Young Great Again.
I'm not surprised. That was easily the worst thing on WWE TV this side of Goldberg's comeback.
And then we talked about the worst pay-per-view of the year. Most overutilized. Oh, last one. The last one we have here is the most underutilized, which was Cesaro winning again. He won last year and won again this year with 28%. He was better utilized this year than last year, I think. I think overall, some would argue Sami Zayn, but, Cesaro, some feel he should be in the main event picture. I think that's how highly people feel about him.
Cesaro is one of those guys where if they would just completely pull that trigger back on him, he could be the greatest of all time.
Exactly. All right, Jeff, well, we're still on the air here, so I'm going to pitch this to you right now on the spot before we sign off here.
All right.
We're over 40 minutes here, so we went a really long time. How about we do a two-parter here? We end 2016, and then tomorrow we come back and kick off 2017 with a doubleheader of Talk Wrestling. How does that sound?
Okay, in that case, we'll save the questions for Talk Wrestling. And
for tomorrow, for next year.
Tomorrow's show, next year. Okay, we'll do that.
All right, so that'll wrap it up. So, Jeff, any closing moments you would like to address?
I just want to thank everybody who has come back to watch Talk Wrestling. I know I've been kind of absent this year with the various jobs I've had outside of wrestling, and everybody that tweets me, everybody that IMs me on Facebook, everybody that Instagrams me or whatever, you know what? Just thank you guys. It's literally been almost 15 years that we've been doing this crazy stuff, and the support just never really dies, and I love you for that. So thank you guys. Happy New Year. I will close with the old close from the old show because it is New Year's Eve, and I will say this tonight. Get drunk. If you can, if you're safe about it, get laid.
Don't drink and drive, though.
Don't drink and drive, dumbass. Do whatever, but come back tomorrow and watch Talk Wrestling.